Hey guys, Jace here with Fresh Tracks, and in today's video, we're gonna do a little blind testing on truck camping mattresses. So yeah, I'm gonna get the whole crew together and I got a whole array of truck camping mats, and we're gonna get out and lay on all of them and see which ones stand out and which ones don't perform, or maybe they all perform, and we're gonna kind of just hone in on what we think is a reasonable price point on these things, because I got some that are almost $400 and one that's $60. Last year we put out a video on my truck camping setup, and it got a lot of comments on what mat I was using in that video. So I figured I'd grab that mat, showcase it to you here today, but I wanted to also throw in some other options. I broke them down into two categories. We got self-inflating and your just standard foam mats. So I'll start with the self-inflating mats. The first one on my list is the one from the previous video of the truck camping setup, and this is the Lost Horizon mat. Again, I found this mat on Amazon, and I'll go ahead and throw up the screenshot of that order I placed on Amazon, and at the time I think I got that thing for $79. So we'll go ahead and jump on my computer now. So as you can see, it is no longer $79. It's currently on sale, but the sale price is $107.99. So $108 on sale currently. So since the price increased on this one from $80 to $120, I did a quick Amazon search to see if I can find another one that hit that $80 ballpark. So that's where we land on our second mat, and that's called the Viz Camp Self-Inflating Sleeping Pad. Okay, so now that we got kind of the bottom or cheap end of the self-inflating truck camping mats, I had to take it to the top. We have the Xped Luxe mat. Now this thing is gonna retail for $350, so quite a big jump up from these Amazon versions. This one has a lot more features, but the one thing that is not gonna be quite comparable, and unfortunately they were out of stock when we ordered these, of the long wide, which is gonna be comparable to that 30-inch width, 80-inch length these other two mats are gonna be. So this one's gonna be a little shorter and a little narrower. All right, so that does it for our self-inflating mats. Now we're gonna jump over into our other category, which is the foam mats. Marcus already had this here Hest mattress, and these are kind of like the top of the line foam mat. So he had one of those, so I said, Marcus, let's bring that in and compare that to all these other ones, and then while we're at it, we obviously got to try a cheap knockoff version of that. So we got this Hest mat here behind me that's going to retail at $300, and then we got our Amazon knockoff version, which is right here, $60. The Homebee's 3-inch thick memory foam camping mattress for outdoor sleeping. So this is pretty much the cheapest I could find. Maybe you could probably find something a little bit cheaper if you really looked around. So yeah, let's go ahead and now jump over to the Hest. For the size that we got here, I wanna say, based on what I'm seeing behind me, it looks like we have the foamy wide. But the foamy is gonna come in at $300 and the foamy wide is gonna come in at $350. All right guys, so that's what we got here. So we're gonna jump over into the other room, maybe take this outside. We don't have much room in the office with all, you can see how big these mats are. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to find a spot on the floor for all these mattresses in the office, but we'll take a look around, see what makes the most sense. We might be outside testing these, so we're gonna get them all inflated. We'll get all the guys together, and it'll be really interesting to see how this shakes out. So let's get over there and get these things tested out.
I think the guy with the old bones is the guy whose opinion should count here. We got it. You can't have your feet hanging off.
Oh yeah, get all the way on there as best you can.
I'd sleep on the ground before I'd sleep on this one.
It's pretty comfy. It's better than
That's good to know.
Rest I have.
That's good
I
to
feel like
know.
you gotta go side. You gotta do it on the side and on the back.
You don't even got to try on this one. Just everybody just know you can cross this one off the list.
Okay, on to the next
I'd
one.
rather lay on the packaging they send it in.
I'll start with this little.
Oh, geez, this one's terrible.
I know, yeah.
What
like,
the hell?
It's like a piece of foam or something.
You need to bring a chiropractor with your physical therapist. If you, I don't even need to mess around on that one.
It's not meant for 260, I'll tell you that much. My butt is touching the ground.
Side.
Did you slide? If you're a stomach sleeper, you gotta go on your stomach too.
So far, I'm actually pretty stoked with it. first two I've tried.
This is a good one.
Okay.
I could dig this one.
Let me see.
All right, I made up my mind.
Ooh, I don't know, Michael. This one's
It's comfy, but it's not meant for 260.
This one sinks you right in.
I know.
You need something underneath this one.
They must have a weight limit on that one.
I'm already on the bottom of it.
Oh, you are on the bottom?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
But if you had like just something right underneath.
This one I like a lot.
This one's too much hair. Let's see. Let me try this one.
I like the memory foam one, but it's too thin.
Yeah, this is my least favorite. The other one blows. I mean, I guess it's soft, which is nice.
When you're old, you got a little more budget for comfort. So I don't care what this one costs. That's the one I'm buying.
It's a nice
Noted.
That one over there, I wouldn't ask my dog to sleep on it.
Okay, which one was your least favorite, Michael?
Right here, this one, and then probably this one, but because I'm a big dog, you know, like my butt was on the bottom of both of these. This one was like as comfortable as this one, but it's just short and not as wide. And then this one was all right, but numero uno, right here, me gusta. Which one's your favorite, Marcus?
That one.
So that one's your
It's a
favorite?
close though. This is actually this middle one I really like.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Yeah. Close.
Which is your guys' least favorite?
That one, the second one.
It's like the-
This one?
one's
So everyone hated this one.
Yeah.
That's good. That's we got a loser in the category. That was easy.
Is that like a not a real sleeping bag?
We're gonna find out. Okay, so the general consensus was this one was terrible. Nobody liked that one.
No, it's that one.
So I'm gonna do the reveal. Everyone else, what was on the last one?
Yeah.
Or Marcus chose the middle?
That one there's.
Randy hated that one.
Word for terrible. That you give it to that. Second one there. Well, this is right here.
All right.
This is the reveal, huh?
Oh.
Okay.
Whoa.
So the one that everybody hated. This is an Amazon special for $60.
So that actually.
It's
is
a
it.
pure foam mat. It's yeah. I mean,
You
I
need
could see
two of
why.
them if you buy them.
I could see why that one was not the favorite.
Yeah.
Randy's favorite, though, is also an Amazon.
Yeah.
$80 for this one.
Really?
So this is pretty good value, we will say.
Is it because it's aired up more than that one over there? Because it was a toss-up between these two.
And it's possible. I guess you could inflate or deflate a little bit to your liking.
Okay.
Because these two are very comparable. This is also an Amazon, but this one's going to come in at $120.
So this one's about an inch wider than that one, it felt like. That's
Those ones are actually pretty spot on width.
Yeah. It is.
Same
Oh,
size.
no,
Touch
that's-
longer, though.
Oh, yeah, you're about right. Yeah. Okay.
And then we got, so this one here, did anyone pick this one?
That was my I was a close.
This one
the
is
second.
$350. Then this one is $300, or also $350.
$300 for that one?
That was-
That is the biggest piece of junk.
That's mine. I actually liked that one, but I didn't pick it out.
If you slept on that for 2 nights out in elk
Yeah.
camp,
Oh,
you-
no,
they- they'd have to fly you out of there.
The thing is,
So that-
I feel like you need something under it, like
Needs maybe a cot.
air pad under it or something.
Yeah, it needs
But that's
something
that
on it.
defeats the purpose. So this one right here that I'm pointing at, it doesn't have air. Like you
No,
can't adjust it.
these two are strictly foam. They require no air. These three are self-inflating mats that require air.
I'm getting one of these, dude.
My feeling is like.
So
I'm buying one.
It's camper the lost horizon.
those are Amazon specials right there.
Well, I'm glad you covered them up because I hate Amazon. I don't buy anything from Amazon unless it's an absolute necessity. I wouldn't have picked them if I knew they were Amazon.
Well, they're kind of knocking out.
This is like a Swiss designed company, Xped, and these are in theory knockoffs of this.
Well, maybe
And
that
these are
one's
high
not
dollar.
aired up as much.
I mean, that's the thing. You can really fine tune all the air ones to your liking.
I
But
thought
yeah.
that one was firmer.
This one,
Was it not?
it's got 4 inches of foam,
You
I
thought
think.
this one was firmer than that one?
Yeah, I thought that one was firmer.
I think the one on the end was the firmest, or
This one was on.
Yeah,
That one
the
might be
main
the
downside
thickest.
of
I think
this
this is
is
4.5 inches thick.
Or it's not as
The rest are in the 4 to 3 inch
Nobody liked the
ballpark.
Hest.
The Hest was.
So you guys
It
all
was
like
better
that
than
one. I
that,
like
but-
this one. I guess
Yeah,
I'm
you
in the
see through it
minority
still.
again.
Yeah, I mean, these things are so dang similar, they even might be made in the same factory. Who knows? Honestly, when I unrolled them all, I kind of thought everyone was going to pick that one, just how, like, soft it was.
Yeah.
It's very plush.
Maybe if you weighed 120 pounds.
It's just the
Yeah.
weight just compresses
Dude,
it.
my back and butt was like on the ground.
Oh, I-
30-pound
I'd
kids would like that one.
I mean, I've slept on that a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it, but it's funny
That-
that I didn't actually pick it out.
And I've heard tons of people talk about this one right
The
here
Hest.
and like say it's all the rage.
yeah,
And
I have slept well on it, but it definitely is a lot
They are
less
expensive.
firm. It's more
Yeah.
plush than the rest of them.
Yeah, after laying
Or
on
well-
it, you can start to feel sort of the bottom to the floor.
Well, I got a big
So-
butt, so that probably any of the foam ones probably weren't any good for me then.
Well, there we have it. We kind of had I think we had a pretty concise winner, which seemed to be the Lost Horizon, at least on the average. And then the loser was the Hest knockoff foam mat. That one was really bad.
yeah, that one was garbage.
Um,
Don't buy that.
You're really not getting much with that one, so probably don't buy that one. But the other ones, people did like the other ones, so thanks for participating, everyone. We'll jump back into the studio and I'll kind of recap all the specs on everything and show you guys where you can buy them. So let's do that. All right, guys, so that was a pretty funny test we just ran. Thanks to the crew for getting involved and helping me compare all these mattresses. It was pretty apparent that we had a clear winner, and then we also kind of had one that was a very clear loser. You got to remember, sleep and sleeping comfort is a very subjective topic, so it really goes on personal preference. But I'm going to go back through all these pads and kind of touch on things that maybe can still, if you're still a little undecided on which one you might be interested in, or if you're interested in any, I can kind of maybe give some final touch points here. So we're going to start with the one that kind of lost and work our way up to what seemed to be the clear winner. So let's jump into that. So it was pretty obvious right off the bat that everyone picked this here foam Amazon pad to be the worst. When I unboxed this here foam mattress, it didn't look very good. The foam was very compressed, and I was a little worried it wouldn't get to its full value before everyone tried it. I will say, by the time everyone came out and we all started laying on the mattresses, this thing was pretty much at the most it was going to give in terms of loft. And yeah, to me, it was not the most comfortable, and clearly the group came to the same idea. So this was the cheapest mat, but it was not a clear winner. Probably wouldn't recommend it. I'd spend a little bit more money in another department. If you want to go foam, I'd spend a little bit more money on a foam mat, but otherwise maybe go over to the self-inflating mats. So moving on from there, we have the Hest. So David, Randy, and Michael did not like that mat. It was very obvious to them they were not fans of it. I know some of them were sinking too deep and like they can kind of feel the ground under them. They were saying that mat would be a little bit better if it had some type of a cot underneath it or something. That's what we got for our foam mattresses. They did not seem to do quite as well as the self-inflating mats. The self-inflating mats definitely landed more on the higher end spectrum of people liking them more. I don't think anyone in particular picked the X-Pad to win, so we'll start with that one. I know a couple of the guys mentioned they did like it, they liked it, but for whatever reason, and this is the tricky part with the self-inflating mats, is they're all adjustable. Like you can fill them with air to as firm as they can get, and if you like firm beds, then that's what you're gonna like. But you can also release some of that air and just fine tune it to that perfect firm and softness. And I think that's kind of what we found when having all three of these set up, was that people picked it based on just like the firmness, the plushness. I know Randy seemed to really like the firmness of the VizCamp, and I think the VizCamp might have been the most firm out of all of them. And maybe that the Lost Horizon was just that perfect firmness, perfect ground of firmness that the rest of the crew kind of landed on that, and that's what they liked. So it's hard to say. It's one of those things, is you get any three of these or any self-inflating mattress in general, and you could just obviously play with that the air level and find what works for you. I would probably say that the crew could have picked any 3 of these self-inflating mats, and if they just inflated it themselves and just put it at the right spot, they would be perfectly happy with either of them. Otherwise, I will say, I think they also gravitated towards the other 2, the Amazon versions of the X-Ped, because those ones are bigger. They're longer, wider. I know for me, my feet hang off this thing, and I would not want to sleep on something with my feet hanging off. This one is a little too small, so I mean, if I were to get one of these, I definitely want the long wide, but you got to remember the long wide is going to cost you $400. Next up, we'll talk about the Viz Camp. And remember, this is the one that Randy picked. Randy was into the Viz Camp, and I think it really comes out to, like I mentioned, it was more firm. This one was nice and taut for him, and he liked the way that it felt. What I will compare when we got the Viz Camp and the Lost Horizon, they're basically the same other than the inflate-deflate electric pump. That only comes with the Viz Camp. So jumping over to the Lost Horizon, yeah, this one, it's treated me well for the last 3, coming on 4 years, and like I said, it's got a slow leak in it, and maybe that's how it ended up winning today. Was it like I filled it up nice and tight when I started putting them together this morning, and then by the time everyone came out, it was probably just slowly leaking air and just hit that sweet spot that everyone seemed to like. I don't know if that's the reason, but so I want to quickly wrap this video up by comparing the packability, durability, and the R values of these pads. So starting with packability, obviously all of them around me here are in their packed long-term storage form. So they're all going to be pretty dang similar in packability, other than the Hest. The Hest is going to be the largest. To me, this isn't the most important feature because, hey, I'm truck camping, I'm base camping. As long as I got room for it in my truck, what's it matter? So that's up for you to decide depending on what your situation is. Maybe you need something that's going to pack down smaller, or maybe you don't care and you can get the biggest one possible. So next we're going to talk about durability. So in terms of durability, these 2 foam mats, obviously you don't ever have to worry about them going flat. So that's a pro in that category of durability. The one thing I'll say is I'm not too familiar with how foam is in regards to moisture and getting wet. There you might run into some mold or mildew issues, but you got to remember these self-inflating, they also have foam in it, so they're kind of susceptible to the same thing. But right off the bat here at this Amazon one, it's probably in moisture resistant is not going to be, there's nothing on this thing that looks moisture resistant. It's got like a cotton fabric top, some type of textured grip on the bottom, but I mean, anything, if this cover on this foam pad gets wet, that water's going to seep in there. So, I mean, ideally you don't ever get it wet, but I'm just pointing that out. The Hest has a super nice durable bottom that's going to be pretty dang water resistant. And then just again, hope you don't get the top of it wet. But in terms of durability, I think these 2 are pretty dang good because they're always going to be nice and fluffy for you. So there you go. So now moving over to our self-inflating mats in terms of durability, I'm going to say this X-Ped's probably going to be the most durable. You got your standard, kind of like what these are, is what is inside of this casing that's wrapped around this X-Ped. So you got the top, the soft topper, and then it's got a nice weather-resistant bottom. So it's keeping the part that's holding the air very protected, I would say. So in terms of durability, I'm going to probably say this one's going to be the most resistant to punctures and pops just because it's got that extra layer around it. Whereas the Viz Camp and Lost Horizon, I'm going to say these things are 2 of the same here in terms of texture and like the outer shell of them. So they're going to be dead even, and I would say one of them isn't more durable than the other. They're essentially the same thing. Okay, so our last category is going to be R value, and I think this is pretty dang important because a lot of times when I'm camping, especially during hunting season and during the fall, it's going to be pretty cold out. So having a mat that is going to really keep you insulated and warm, and it's going to mate up with your sleeping bag well. If you got a 20-degree sleeping bag, but you're on a mat that has a 1 R value, your 20-degree bag isn't going to be getting its full potential and keeping you warm into that 20-degree weather. So having a mat that's going to keep you nice and toasty and insulated is pretty important to me. So we're going to start off with this Hest, and I got this pulled up right here. The Hest is rated at an R value of 8.8, which is pretty dang high. So I would be pretty dang confident of taking that into cold weather with any of my cold weather bags and staying totally warm and honestly staying really toasty. Now jumping over to this Amazon foam mat, They don't even list an R value on their web page. So I don't know what it would rate at. Again, this is a lot thinner than the Hest, so it's not going to be nearly that 8.8. So I would say you might be taking a risk taking this into cold weather. I think it's going to do a little bit. It's going to do better than your non-insulated backpacking pads, because obviously those have nothing in it. This is a couple inches of foam, so it's going to give you some insulation from the ground and keep you warm. We just don't know for sure what it's rated at. And I'm not going to throw out any guesses because I do not want to steer you guys in the wrong direction and give you the idea that it might be better in cold weather than it really is. So I'm just going to stay away from guessing and just tell you you're going to take a risk using this one. They do not mention an R value. So now we'll jump into the R value of these self-inflating pads. Starting off with this X pad right here. Theirs is listed at 7.2 R value, which I'm just referencing their website here. It's going to be good down to -31. So that's pretty dang cold. So the Hest is going to be even, in theory, better in terms of R value. But at a certain point, anything in the negatives I think is going to be pretty dang good. So you're covered in that regard. So you don't have to worry about getting cold or having your sleeping bag not protect you as good as it should be when using one of these X-Ped mats. And now jumping over to the Lost Horizon mat, these guys claim theirs, this is right here in the Amazon description, 4-season insulation. This sleeping pad boasts an R value of 13. So that is almost double the X-Ped and Hest. I don't know if this is like an official rating or how they got their R value, but that is crazy high. So if 7 is -31, I don't even know what that would go to. But Lost Horizon is going to keep you warm. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if it's legit 13 R value, but that's what they say it is, and I will say it has kept me very warm. So I don't think you have to worry about getting cold with the Lost Horizon mat. Jumping over to the VizCamp mat. Now, again, this one does not have a listed R value. So I don't want to give you any false hope here, but like I said, it is very similar to the Lost Horizon. So it's got to be in the same ballpark, but maybe not. There we have it, guys. There's my extensive review and comparison process between all these pads here. I hope we made it easier for you to make a decision on what to get rather than harder. I just know that a lot of you guys commented on that truck camping video and wanted to know what mattress I was using. So I thought I'd do a video on it, but not only do a video on this one, but throw out some other options for you guys to really see what's out there and to get an idea of what the options are. So we will post all of the links to these items in the description below. Be sure to just go check them out if you're interested, and ask us questions in the comments. If I didn't cover anything you really wanted to know, please be sure to ask me in the comments, and I'll do my best to get back to you and get that question answered. And hopefully we can get you on the right track to finding your perfect truck camping mattress. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.